Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly Jones Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this pendant. I've put a list in the description below of everything you'll need to make this, including links to my Etsy shop, which is kellyjonesjewellery.com, my Facebook page, my Instagram, and I've put a link to Gracie's Instagram on there too. Gracie's my little pug who snores by my side as I'm making all this jewellery for you. To make this pendant you'll need 0.8mm wire, that's 20 gauge, and I've cut 5 lengths at 13 inches, that's 33 centimetres. You'll need 0.315mm wire, that's 28 gauge, and I've cut approximately 400 centimetres, wound mine onto a bobbin. These are really handy to use, I'll put a link in the description below. If you don't have a bobbin you can just cut lengths as you go. You'll need a little bead, so this is like an oval bead, and mine is 18mm by 13mm. You can use any size you like. If you want to use a bigger bead, that's fine. You just need to add a little bit more wire, do a few more weave repeats. Tools, I've got pliers, round nose pliers, wire cutters. I've got nylon pliers. If you don't have any nylon pliers, don't worry, because these are just, I love these, so I always use these. I've put links in the description below to all my tools. I do prefer the Tronex tools, so they are affiliate links, so if you are thinking of buying tools, please buy through my links. Start about 5.5 inches from the beginning of the wires, so that's 14 centimetres. So take your weaving wire, we're going to start 3 wraps around that bottom wire, and then go around the bottom 2 wires, then go around the bottom 3 wires, come up between those bottom 2 wires, go over the 4th wire, up between the bottom 2 wires, and go over the top, up between those bottom 2 wires and over the 4th wire, under the bottom wire and over the 3rd, under the bottom wire and over the 2nd, and then 3 wraps around the bottom wire. That's a repeat, so I'll do that again. Go around the bottom 2, around the bottom 3, between the bottom 2, that's Gracie snoring already, over the 4th wire, between the bottom 2, over the top wire, up between the bottom 2, over the 4th wire, underneath the bottom wire and over the 3rd, underneath the bottom wire and over the 2nd, and then 3 wraps around that bottom wire, and we're going to repeat that weave. So I've done 12 repeats of that weave. Go over it with your pliers, it just makes it nice and flat. So I'm going to cut the tail end from the beginning. take the edges of the wires, the weave, sorry. I'm going to start to bend them up. Because my bead is oval, I want it to go around my bead. So when you're happy with that shape, take your inner wire, I'm going to bend it directly over, and then thread your bead onto that wire. And then take the last two wires on this side. Make sure this bead wire is against the weave. And bend these two wires over that bead for now. And to hold it in place, and we'll leave the others sticking up in the air for now. So now we're going to continue weaving over 4 wires. We're going to do a similar weave, what we were doing just. So we've already got 3 wraps around the bottom wire. We're going to go around the bottom 2. Around the bottom 3. Up between the bottom 2 wires, over the top, under the bottom wire, and over the 3rd, so we've gone around the bottom 3, under the bottom wire and over the 2nd, we've gone around 2, and then we'll go around that bottom wire 3 times. So it's like a slightly smaller version of the same weave, and we'll repeat that along these 4 wires. So I've done 12 repeats of that weave, and again I'm just going to flatten it down with my nylon pliers. Just going to bend that weave in just a little. Oh, and keep pushing your weave together as you go. Pushing it all together keeps it nice and tidy. So that's what I've got so far. So we'll go over the bottom 3 wires, up between the bottom 2, and then we're going to wrap around the middle 2 wires twice. And then just working across these middle 2 wires. Go 3 times around the top one. Three times around both wires. And that's our repeat. 3 times around the top wire, 3 times around both wires. So we'll keep repeating that weave. Fast asleep as usual. Curled up by my side. Little Gracie. Her feet sticking right out. Hello. So I've done 10 repeats of that small weave. And I'm going to scoop it over. I'm going to push those to the back a little bit to make it a bit easier. Just scooped it over to the side. This is going to be awkward to work with, so I'm just going to bend these wires to the back a little bit so we can get to them. I want this next bare wire on this side to follow the shape around. I'm going to make it sit just inside of the shape. Like that. And this one, I'm going to scoop around as well. Hard to show you with all these wires sticking out what I'm doing. So working across these 3 now, no, the 4, because we need to tie them all together. And come under the bottom wire and go around those bottom 2 wires, then come up between the 2, and go around the next 2 wires, come up between those 2 and go around the top 2 wires. This is just to tie them all together. So I'm going to bring that wire between the bottom 2 wires and go over the 3rd one, and then over the 2nd wire, then at this point I'm going to take this top wire and scoop it the other way. So now we've just got 3. So now bring that wire up between the bottom 2. We're going to go around the top 2 wires, ignoring the bottom wire now. We're just going to work on these 2. I'm going to continue the weave we were doing earlier. So that's 3 wraps around the both wires, and then come up between those 2 wires, and we'll go 3 wraps around that top wire. So we're continuing this weave across these 2 wires. 3 wraps around the top wire, 3 wraps around both wires. We'll repeat that. So I've done 10 repeats of that little weave. And you want to do enough repeats so that it reaches, so this weave reaches to the bead. Cut that weaving wire there. And take these wires and take them over that bead wire in there. Without misshaping this weave too much. So holding the weave in place, you want to bend it around, make sure I get my bead the right way, around that bead wire. This bare wire that has followed the little weave, I'm going to scoop that around to go across the weave and also down around that bead wire. So again, holding it in place. So now working on these 2 wires. So we've got these 3 from these that we're going to pull to the back a little bit and deal with those later. We've got these 3 sticking up, these 2 going down, and we've got our bead wire. So focusing on these 3, we're going to leave the top one. We're just going to focus on these 2 for a minute. So take your weaving wire, wrapping around the top of the 2 wires 3 times. And then wrap around both wires 3 times. And that's our repeat. 3 times around the top wire, 3 times around both wires, and we'll repeat that. So I've done 8 repeats on that. Cut off that tail end. What I'm going to do is bend that weave out a little bit and scoop it around in a nice tight curl. I'm going to follow it with this bare wire. trying to sort out my wires. So now I'm going to go around all 3 wires just to hold them all together. Go around them all twice. Then I'll come back up between the bottom 2. Got myself in a knot now. And go around that middle wire 3 times. And then around those bottom 2 3 times, so I'm continuing that weave. So I've added more repeats to these wires, and I've cut my weaving wire, leaving about 20 inches still attached. So now where the weave comes across that larger weave at the back, I'm going to bend it around and bend it completely around the big weave. I've got a little decorative light in the window casting rainbows on everything. So as this wire comes around, we want the bare wire to follow it. So then this wire now, these 2 wires now, we're going to continue with that weave. So you'll need to post the weaving wire through too. And then continue adding weaves to those 2 wires. And we're going to follow it with that bare wire. So I've added repeats to that weave. I'm going to gently scoop it around. I want it to go between the bead and the weave there, so it goes around the weave. I'm going to follow the edge of the big weave, and then I'm going to scoop it in there. So carefully bend the wires through to the back. Post that weaving wire through as well, get it out the way. And this bare wire, bring that around to follow the weave. I'm going to actually finish it there and curl it. So I need to take a bit of weaving wire and tie that down. So I'll cut a short piece of weaving wire. attach it to that bare wire. Slide it down into place. About there. So I'm going to go over the big weave and around the big weave. And then underneath the little weave, so I'll come up between the smaller weave and the bare wire. So I've wrapped around the big weave and I'm back on the bare wire, and I'll go around that bare wire a couple of times. I'm going to post it back down behind the little weave. I'm going to go around the little weave, and this time I'm going to go under the bare wire. And then go around that bare wire a few times. And then I can cut both ends of that weaving wire. So I've cut those ends, and I'm just going to cut this wire and I'll curl that wire. In a bit. But that's what I've got so far. So now to secure the bead, this is the bead wire. I'm going to go around these two wires. Oh, and I just wanted to point out that my wire I always buy dead soft, or soft as it's called in the UK. I never use the half hard. So now I'm going to take these two wires and I'm going to scoop them around. And get that one to go between and go around the big weave. And then this one, I'm going to curl around into a tighter curl. Bring it around this side, go around the big weave, so I'm going to finish a few of these wires because I've got a lot of wires now. Cutting a bit of length off this one so it's easier to handle. I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to post it through to the front there. Pull it really tight. Cut it off short. And I'm going to post it behind those wires there. And I'm going to squeeze it to that big weave. So I want a small gap. I'm going to push it behind there. I'm going to squeeze it down to the big weave, push those wires back down. This one here, so I'm just finishing off these two wires really. This one, I'm going to cut that short, bend it over the big weave and press that down. So I've done that wire, and I've squeezed it together at the bottom as well to hold it in place there. I'm going to curl this wire here. Grabbing it right on the tip. Press it down. This wire up here, I'm going to finish that one as well. I'm going to wrap it around the big weave, holding it in place at the front so we keep the shape. Wrapped it tightly around there. Straightening these two. I'm going to put a little tiny curl on this one, but I'm going to have to tie that one down as well. So we'll take a little bit of weaving wire, wrap 3 times around that bare wire. I like to tie everything down so it doesn't snag and lift. You want it all to be pretty solid. And then I'm going to go around the big weave. And then bring the wire up, but go underneath our bare wire. And then go around that bare wire a few times. Both those tail ends off, and we can cut this wire because this is going to just give us a little tiny curl. And curl this wire this way. You'll be able to see all this detail much better once it's oxidised. So now I'm going to finish off these 3 wires. You can do whatever you want with all these long wires. I'm cutting off if you want to carry on making swirls and curls and add all your extra things to make it your own, then you can. I'm going to take these 3. I'm going to finish off 2 by wrapping them around that bare wire there. That bead wire. I'm going to take the end one and wrap it around this side of the bead wire. So I'm going to cut them all quite short. And then I'm going to curl them around whichever wire I want to finish them off on. and then tighten it up with my standard pliers. So now there's just 2 wires left. So take your weaving wire and we'll go 3 times around that top wire. And then we'll go 3 times around both wires. And that's our repeat. 3 times around the top wire, 3 times around both wires, and we'll do this about 5 times. So I've done 5 repeats. Cut that tail end off. And I'm just going to bend this weave to go around. And I'm going to finish it off here, so I'm going to cut, leaving a little bit of a tail of weaving wire. I'm going to finish this one curling down and this one curling up. So I'm now going to attach this to the big weave at the back. Hold it all down. I'll go underneath that wire. So I'll go around that wire a few times. Then I'll go around both wires. Just the once, and then finish it on that top wire. So it's all tied down. I'm going to get nice and close to that. So I'll finish this one off in a curl coming down, and this one off going up. Do quite small curls, I think. You can finish these wires however you like. You could even add a few beads if you wanted to. Try not to overcomplicate it too much, because this one has already ended up being a lot bigger than I first planned. And as usual, I forgot to mention that we're going to need a jump ring. So there we have it finished. And I've oxidised it, and I've added my jump ring. I hope you find this tutorial easy to follow. Something a bit different for you this week. And please subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks to everybody who has. See you in the next one. Bye.